The artist Fred Williams is considered to be one of Australia's most important painters, and most of his life was spent in Victoria. Nearly 30 years after his death, the National Gallery of Australia is looking back at the work Fred Williams left behind.
Fred Williams was interested in art from a really early age, and in fact his father was quite worried about him when he was a young boy, because already in his teens he liked to go out into the landscape and paint. And he said to Fred's godfather, he said, "You know, I'm really worried about this young boy." And his godfather said, "Well, don't worry, I think just let him be, and I'm sure he'll come good, you know, he might do something with it." I think in the early 60s, in about 1963, he really saw things that were seen as unremarkable. You know, he saw the landscape that most people would find monotonous. And when he came back from England, where he saw the landscape as very manicured and ordered, he suddenly saw a landscape that had no focal point. He could look up at the horizon line, and he saw this dead straight horizon line. And you know, that's something that's really come to represent so much of what we think of as the classic Australian landscape. But it was quite fresh at that time, just something simple but quite daring. This painting was done soon after there was a raging bushfire in the Upwey region where the Williams family was living. It was really terrifying. It was one of those really full-on bushfires, a bit like what we've had in recent years. And really, Fred Williams ran the risk of losing everything, all his work and the house. And Lynn Williams and the children actually had to take shelter in the nearby school. And Fred Williams stayed in the house and helped fight the surrounding bushfires. He started going to the Victorian coastline, to places like Queenscliff, and later on he travels much more widely. I can't help but love those gouaches and those seascapes of Erith Island and of Queenscliff. Just such magical works. You know, he was really a master of painting by that time. There was always for him the landscape and then painting itself, how paint's laid onto the surface. And when you get to those beachscapes, it's as if they're almost just floated on. You know, it's when you get to that mastery of making it look effortless.
You know, working outdoor, I don't have any preconception of what it is or how I'm going to go about it, and I usually just plonk myself down in a suitable spot, you know, as comfortable as possible, out of the wind, out of the heat, and out of the rain, and try and sit and just let it come to me. And I think, in my case, you know, because I actually like painting, it's easier for me to simply sit there and splash around.
I think in the last years of his life, when he went to Weipa and to the Pilbara, they were very much a culmination of a lot of what he had been doing in previous years, and then taking that another step. And there are fabulous works like Weipa Shoreline, a very daring landscape that's predominantly blue, and you get just this little strip of the landscape. And he just thought the landscape was quite magical. You know, the incredible colours of the Pilbara, those rich ochre reds, and the dotting of the landscape seen from above. But we get that same kind of daring in the vantage points, the cut-off, you know, composition. He's done the horizon line at a very steep angle, but this beautiful rich colour is taken even a step further in the Pilbara works. He said, "I think I can only really paint in Australia because I want to be on the inside looking out, not the outside looking in." And he wanted to get to know it from the inside, but again with fresh eyes. So I think living in the city and then going out into the bush was his secret, was a way of kind of looking afresh at what he saw around him.